Chiranjeevi Venkat Siva. Okay. Let me give a recap what we have discussed in a previous session. We have talked about load balancer NAT rules, network address translator, whereas we have used one public IP, right, as a load balancer, and then we have connected to the multiple virtual machines, right, using a load balancer public IP from a different port numbers using inbound NAT rules. So this is what we have seen, right, in a previous session. This is our public load balancer. Under public load balancer, we have talked about inbound NAT rules. Here, if you could see, you'll be having one public IP for an front end. This public IP is capable enough to allow you to log in to the multiple virtual machines, that is 001, VM002. You're logging in with 5511, 55112 respectively, right? So this is how you are making use of one load balancer to log in multiple servers as well. And post which we have talked about traffic manager profile. Traffic manager profile is kind of a DNS based solution. It works with the DNS name resolution. So by default, you will be get URL with the name what you give and then trafficmanager.net. This trafficmanager.net, right? It will be the default URL. You need to have a CNAME record created for your DNS provider. Let's say if your application name, your domain name is airindia.com, we need to have a CNAME record created in the DNS server or DNS configurations. And one more important thing when it comes to traffic manager, it is not bound to region. It is a global service, right? Post which we have talked about traffic manager profiles, that is your priority, weighted, geographic, performance, multi-value, and subnet. These are the different kinds of routing methods we have. As part of our training, we have configured a routing method as a priority, and then we have a couple of servers added, VM001, VM002, two applications are added. We have seen our all of us traffic is routed to priority one endpoint, and as soon as we shut down the VM01, traffic is automatically shifted to 002. That is how your priority as a routing method works. On a high level, this is what we have discussed in a previous session. Any questions, guys, from yesterday? Anything you'd like to? Okay. So as part of today's session, we're going to talk about web applications. There's nothing but your app services. App service is nothing but like it is fall under platform as a service offering, whereas we will not create the virtual machine. We will not install the web server. We will not install the Apache or a Tomcat, whatever the components is needed to run your website. It's completely managed services from Microsoft, and we'll just provision the service, deploy the code, and make use of it. So when it comes to Azure App Services, like it does support like all the most like used today's scenario like development technologies like .NET, .NET Core, Java, Ruby, Node.js, Python, PHP. So all these languages that support by Azure App Service. So now what we will do as part of our training session, we'll want to deploy a Java based application, and then we'll deploy the Java web code and then try to access the application. Along with that, as being an administrator, what are the different kinds you have for your management of your app service? So we're going to discuss these things as part of today's session. So it is going to expire by today, right? Chiranjeevi, today is the last date, correct?
Yes,
Or-
today only.
Okay. So Venkat or Harsha, can you guys try to create one free trial so that we can continue our sessions from tomorrow, today, when we get some time? Okay. This is expires in 1 day. That's it. Now we are going to create a new resource. As part of creating a new resource, we could see that the web app or app service under favorite itself. Click on app service. Here the resource group name. So I'm just selecting as AZT27 RC. Click on OK. Your app service name, as I mentioned, again, it's a publicly accessed URL. Their name should always be in a queue. Let's say I want to use a training as my app service name. So what is the default URL you are getting? Training.azurewebsites.net. So in this case, this particular name we cannot be used because training with azurewebsites.net is someone else might have already used. So what I'm doing now, I'm going to have an AZT27 as a keyword. It is most of the scenarios in a queue name, which is the service is available. And then if you could see here, publishing methods, we have a code level publishing, a Docker container can be published, static web app also can be published. So in our example, what we will do, how we can publish the code-based Java level code-based deployment. So runtime stack, I'm going to select Java 8, where your application is running. Web server stack, I'm going to select Apache Tomcat, right, 8.5. And I'm going to select backend operating system also. We could able to select. So I guess my version is 9. Let me select that. And then backend operating system to run this Java 8 and install this Apache Tomcat. So I was using Windows. So in your case, it is depends on the requirement of a developer, whether you want to use a Linux-based operating system to host your website or Windows-based operating system to host the website, right? In the backend, what will happen, guys? They will have one server which is having multiple web apps from multiple customers isolated from each other. It is not like dedicatedly they will give it assigned to us. It will be multiple. Is it clear, folks? Next, region is Central US. I'm not changing the Central US. I'm keeping as it is. This is the plan. So plan is nothing but equivalent to your virtual machine sizes. Do you guys remember the virtual machine sizings? What are the sizes we have in virtual machines?
A series, some series we have, right? A, D, E, F.
Like a general purpose, memory optimized, CPU
Oh,
optimized, GPU, right? High performance compute. These are all the different kinds of sizings when you want to assign a CPU memory to a virtual machine, correct? Similarly, when it comes to Azure App Services, you will be having some kind of a plans. When I say the plan, so I'm just giving a plan now, AZT27 hyphen a plan. Yeah, so by default, what it has been selected here, it's a free trial. Post it got created, I will navigate to what are all the different kinds of pricing tiers we have, what are the differences with by selecting each pricing tier, we'll discuss. Okay. So at the end of the day, plan is nothing but where you are assigning some compute to your website to run. So any application run, you need some kind of a CPU and memory, right? Similarly, for the app service also, you will be assigning the compute by using this app service plan. We'll talk about different plans which are available once after the provision. have a deployment window. So deployment window is nothing but where you can integrate your GitHub solutions. Hope you might have heard of GitHub, Bitbucket, repositories. Have you ever heard of these keywords, guys?
Yeah, Surendra, we have.
Yeah, these are part of your kind of DevOps terminologies. So if your code is residing at your GitHub, Bitbucket, and other resources, you have an option to integrate them as well as part of your deployment. So for now, I'm not integrating. If you could enable this, it will allow you to change it, right? The account from a GitHub, login from a GitHub. So all those things can be done. Here the organization can be selected and all those stuff. But now I'm just disabling it. Networking rules. So for our plan currently it has been not supported as we are creating as a free trial. So we have all other paid versions. So once after we change it from a free trial to paid one, once after this app services provision, we'll discuss about networking area as well. What are the different options you have? Next is we have an option called application insights. Are able to see here application insights. Application insights is in use for your performance management service for your code or application. Let's say if you are running one website, how many requests is received, how many requests are failed, why it has been failed, what is the backend infrastructure status, what is the health status of backbone, all at the granular level of a data on a layman terminology. It's a monitoring solution for your app service, for your website. So if you can enable it, it will by default created with your name of your website only. Next option is tags and then review. It will review the deployment. Click on create. It's just validating. It was given an error. Subscriptions over quota for SKU. The region has quota of one instance for your subscription. Seems to be Central US. It's already been used, so it has been allowing for me. Let me change the region to somewhere to Canada Central. Seems to be now the validation has passed. Let me try to create an app service now. So I will just change the region. It is the free trial scenario, guys. When you are working with a real-time scenario, you won't face these problems. Provisioning of app service, it won't take much time. It is deployment is done. If you could see here, this is how your app service look like, right? This is the URL for you, AZT27.azurewebsites.net. You can click on it. So the first time it will take some time to load your website. By default, you'll be having very default page of Azure App Service. You could see that it's saying Microsoft Azure, hey Java developer, your app service is up and running. You can go ahead and deploy your website. That's what they have been giving the default page here. So in a real-time scenario, this deployment, most of the scenarios will happen via the DevOps professionals using some kind of a pipelines. But here, very kind of on 30% of the scenario where the manual deployments also will happen. So I'm going to show you how that manual deployments will happen. Now, to store our code, to deploy our code, we need some path where the code actually need to be placed. That code repository of this particular application or a website, you can reach out the particular path using this FTP. Are you able to see this FTPS URLs? FTP stands for File Transfer Protocol, right? Using this FTP, you can connect to the backend of where we have website files are residing. We can reach out to there. I can deploy your code over there. So I'm just going to desktop. Here we have a Java code, JSP Azure. So I'm having very simple Java based code which has some login and logout screens of Azure training. This is my Java code. I want to use this code into this application. So instead of getting this page, once after a successful deployment, you could see the my own application running in Azure App Service. Is it clear, guys? Able to follow till now? Any questions? Chiranjeevi, Venkat, Hasha, Siva. Guys, am I audible?
Yes, right.
Okay. Now, the credentials to connect. So if you want to connect to the FTP, you need to have a username and password. That data will be available under get published profile. If you could download this published profile, it does contain all your credentials. You can open this up. It will be having your FTP URL and FTP username, and also it does have your FTP password. So using these details, what we will do, we'll try to connect to the FTP. So FTP can be connected in the browser, if not in the Explorer also. So I'm just, so let me open up a new Explorer, File Explorer, for example. I'm just pasting the FTP URL, click on the enter. So it will prompt you for a credentials. So where you can get the credentials, the file which we just downloaded from the overview button. This is the username, your app service name only. This is the username and this is the password. This part of get published profile, that particular file, you can click on download, click on login. So what it will do, it will allow you to takes the path of your website. This is your www root. This is where your website is running, web apps. Under root, we have a file name called index.jsp. So this is what currently is giving a service. So I'm just deleting this file, right? And I want to keep my own code. Let's say this is a developer is doing this activity. So Control A, Control C. I'm going to this path, root. Right click, paste the content. So what I'm doing now, I have taken out the default content of my website. I am placing my own website. Okay. This is manual deployment of a code to one of the application. Right now, my code has been copied successfully. If I go back to my app service, do the refresh, what is the expectation, guys? It should come my own website. Are you able to see the website content now? Welcome to Azure login page. You can enter the username and password. So I will let me enter my username is Surendra. Then login. So it's saying hello Surendra, welcome to Azure training. Then I have a logout portal. So this is very basic website which we have been built using Java. So that code we have deployed into Azure App Service. Right? Only thing you need to cautious as part of the provisioning of an app service is you should get the data from a developers, whether your website, what kind of a stack they need. Let's say they are saying Java, under Java again you'll be having multiple versions like Java 8, Java 11, Java 17. And again, you need to ask what is the web server stack they need. They need Java SE, they need Apache Tomcat and all of this stuff. So again, the versions. If the versions are mismatching, their code is in different version. What will happen? It will not run. So make sure you are getting these details from your requester, right? Thoroughly and getting all the versioning details so that you are not going to face any kind of a problem when you deploy your application data or application code, right? Is it clear, guys? How to create an app service, how to deploy a code using an FTP, and downloading the published profile for your credential purpose, and then copy your code. At last, you will be having your own application. Is it clear, folks? Any questions? Able to follow?
Yes, Surendra, can you please show us where to get those file, the WordPad, under going get published profile?
So under the published profile, if you could open it, no, you have an FTP URL. So you have a published URL, right? The credentials will be same only. There is no difference which are the credentials you use, but you have dedicated credentials for only for FTP also. Are you able to see FTP, which I highlighted? So this is the FTP URL. You can copy it from the overview of a website. If not, in this file also you have a FTP detail. This is the URL of a website.
Okay, fine. That is fine.
Immediately.
To get this file, where we need to go?
So here you have a download button. Are you able to see this? Get published profile.
Yours, I am seeing your WordPad only. Now it came. Yeah, get published profile. So if we click on that one, the file will be downloaded, right?
Correct, correct. That's correct.
Okay.
Okay,
So
this is a
this
manual.
web application was hosted on the existing VM, or like how is it? Because you already have a VM created, correct?
Sorry, Chiranjeevi, what is your question?
So the web app, the current install, I mean whatever you install, like the Java code, where you are installed on top of an existing VM, or you are created a separate VM.
It is not a VM at all. It is a PaaS service we created. The service name called App Service.
Okay, we are not using the exist. Okay, it's not on top of the the VM which we created yesterday, right? Yesterday we created a
Correct.
VM.
There is,
Okay.
there is no relation to the VMs actually. It is altogether assuming that you and me is not expertise in how to create a VM, how to install Apache Tomcat. In such cases, Azure is offering a service called App Service. Directly, they will give you the website. You go and deploy your code. That's it.
Okay.
Whereas you and
Are
me
there
is no need to manage the virtual machine.
are there any limitation, like what all services you can this other than this Java? Can you show us it in the drop down? Like what all it Azure was offering to? Azure
These are
offerings.
all, yeah. So these are all development code it does support. Apart from Java, it does support your
Okay,
.NET
okay.
Core, Ruby, Python, PHP, Node.js, all other development technologies, whatever you name it, right? It does support.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay. Next thing, let's talk about what are the different kinds of options and administrative tasks, what we do have and all of this stuff. Okay. Now, in Azure App Service, you have an option called deployment slots under deployment. All right. Deployment slots are nothing but it will be having multiple environments in a real-time scenario, guys. Like you've been aware that for any application there might be a development, production, pre-prod, UAT, SIT. There are different kinds of an applications are available, right? So before in hand, what I will do, currently I'm in a free trial. Let me change the pricing tier first in place. For that, you need to click on your app service plan, scale up. If you here could see that dev test, we are in a dev test with the free trial of F1. F1 is a free, there you don't need to pay for it. 60 minutes per day, your website will run for free. The only difference is when you are using these free trials or whatever the lowest or cheaper in price as a pricing tiers, your features will get varied. Are you able to see any features under this F1? It's an empty. Are you able to see that? It is not going to support of any kind of features. That's why as soon as I click on the deployment slot, it is saying it is not supported. You need to upgrade. Let's see if I'm just changing to the one of the paid tier. So what is it is helping me? It is supporting the custom domains. What is mean by custom domains, guys? Let's say currently my web service name is AZT27.azurewebsites.net. Is my customer will allow to use this default website of Microsoft? No, right? We need to have our own website name, let's say AZT27.airindia.com. So that customizing the domain can be supported in the next available version. If I'm selecting, let's say for production pricing tiers, these are all B1, B2. So I'm just going to the production related pricing tiers. If I select the standard tier here with 1.75 GB of memory assigned, are we able to see the feature details here? How many features it's supporting? It is supporting me to configure the SSL, auto scaling up to 10 instances, deployment slot up to 5 slots. I can take the backup for 10 times a day. I can add this app service as a backend, as a service endpoint to my Azure Traffic Manager also does support. These are all the features. Nothing to worry. All those things we are going to discuss in our sessions. What is mean by custom domain? How to add a custom domain? What is mean by SSL? What is mean by auto scaling? Where we need staging slots, all those things we will discuss, guys. But only I just want to highlight here is based on the amount what you pay, based on the plan what you choose, your included features will get changed. Am I clear? Any questions?
Yes, Suren.
Okay. So is my voice and screen is visible and network space is okay. So
Yes, yes.
I'm just switching to Wi-Fi. It's just been activated. Just give me a minute. Be online. Yeah. Now, if you have some kind of a lag you are facing, hopefully that will get resolved now. So this is all about features. I'm just changing my tier to the standard tier. All right. So that I will be having all the options will be available for me. So I was just changed my pricing tier. If you come back to your overview button here, refresh the screen. Okay, this operation was cancelled. Let me go back, scale up. Oh, yes, one is not allowing. Let me refresh the screen. So it's been cancelled. This is not allowing. That's okay. Let me set other available size. Click on apply. We will wait this time instead of cancelling this solution. Let it get applied properly, and then we'll go back to the next screen. Yeah, it has been upgraded. This is my app service AZT27. Are you able to see the plan got changed now to the premium plan? Now, if I go to the deployment slot, this feature will allow me to create. So why we need a deployment slot? It means under one app service, you can run the multiple environments. Let's say, considering this is a production application, you can create your all non-prod applications of, let's say, development, UAT, SIT, all these environments can be created. Okay, shall we go ahead and create one application for development? Let's say I'm just naming this one as development. So what it will happen, it will use your production application name, that is your AZT27 hyphen dev. It will take the name automatically dot Azure websites.net. So it's going to create under the same app service plan. You no need to pay any extra cost for it. It will works as a within the same plan. And the settings, we have an option of do not clone settings. It means it is a plain website as similar to your Java developer plain website, you will get it. If at all you want to copy the content from a production application to development and you want to do some modification and then redeploy, that also can be done. For now, I will show you the difference with the do not clone setting so that you will be having very plain website, right? And then assuming that we are done with the deployment, I will show you how usually you can move the data from development to production. So it is just creating one more app service under the same plan. If I click on this AZT27 dev, this is also look like again similar to your app service only. There is no difference in it, but you could see here it is not an app service. It is an app service slot. If you click on this website, development website, you will get a default page, correct? Your web app is running and waiting for the content. This is your development website. This is your production website. Assume that you have done with the development. This is your production and you want to deploy this code to the production website. So in such case, you have an option of direct swapping the code. You don't need to do any FTP, nothing. You just swap the code. Whatever is there in a dev, it will go and deploy in a production. Whatever it's there in a production will get deployed in a development environment. Okay, shall we go ahead and do that?
Okay.
So I'm clicking on swap now, post which what will happen? This content will go and deploy in my production. Production content of my website will come back to the dev. So in a real-time scenario, your developer is done with his development. He has the code deployed already in a dev so that he can directly move it to the production. So I'm clicking on swap button here. Source is development, destination is production. So in this scenario, guys, we are having only one slot. You can create up to 5 slots also, like development. You can create SIT. You can create UAT. You can create pre-prod. So what are the names you want? So you can have multiple slots can be there so that you can deploy it here and there, moving the code from dev to UAT, UAT to pre-prod, pre-prod to production. So that kind of a hierarchical deployments also you can follow. So I'm clicking on swap now. What is the expectation guide? Once after swapping is done, this code will automatically move to production. Production code will automatically come back to dev. Let's see that. Once after this performing the swapping, we'll validate that. The operation is in progress. If you could see what is saying, successfully completed swap between dev slot to production slot. I'm just closing this window. I'm just refreshing the page grid. Just observe this. So if you could see, your development got the production application, and assuming that your development code is coming to production now. What you are seeing here, your resource has been looking for has been removed, had its name changed, are temporarily unavailable. So we have taken out the code from your, if I access my website of a production, it came the default content of my development. This is development content. If I go back to my development website, I got the production content. Do you see this use case for developers, how easy it is to move their content or data from one environment to other environment? Is it clear, guys? How does it functions? Deployment slot, how it works, what is the use case?
Yes.
Okay, we'll move to the next concept. That is your deployment center. One minute. So this is my production website. We talked about deployment slot. So deployment slot is the use case is you can have multiple environments can be created, move the code here and there very effectively without having any other dependence. Do you think a developer perspective, how good it is for him? Okay. Next one is deployment center. So when it comes to deployment center, it is used, as I've been mentioned, as part of our app service provisioning also we discussed, right? Deployment center will be used for only to deploy your code. So this is where you can integrate all your GitHub, Bitbucket, any kind of a repository, you could able to integrate in this deployment center based on the your environment. Right? That is quite possible. Why this page itself is not loading? Let me refresh the window once. It is loading. Yeah. It's saying loading the settings and then it's going away automatically. Let's wait for a minute. Some reason, guys, this is very strange. The options is not loading to show you guys. Yeah, here we are in the FTP unit. Let me say, yeah, that's okay. I've changed the values, settings. When I click on the settings, it's not been browsing through. That's okay. Just do remember this option. We'll see it in next session, like how exactly this window look like. It's nothing. It just have an option to pick and choose if at all our code is residing at different repositories. That can be selected here. Okay. And next option, you have a configuration. So when it comes to configuration window, all right, if your application, so general settings, if we go, if your application team want to change the versions, let's say this is your Java stack and Java version is Java 11 today. And if you want to move this code to Java 17, so you can come here and then change it to Java 17 and minor version. So under Java 17, you have minor versions also 17.01, 17. If you click on 11, you find more minor versions. If you could see how many minor versions are there in Java 11, so many. So if your application code, your application team is asking precisely that, yes, my application want to have, this is the minor version to be selected and all other stuff, and web server stack in the backend, if you want to change once after the provisioning, Java does support Java SC, embedded web server. If not, it does support Apache Tomcat to host their web server. So these options, modifications can be done in the configurations window. Currently, if you see here, FTP is all allowed. It means anybody who is having the FTP URL, username, and a password can connect to our website backend path and then deploy their code. If you don't want to allow using an FTP, whatever the reason, you say that you want to allow only FTPS. It is similar to FTP only, but this URL is secured URL. File secured file transfer protocol will call it as a FTPS. So if you want to change it, this is a recommended one as part of security. And third option is if you want to disable this, you don't want to use a FTP at all, right? You are using some kind of a DevOps pipelines, authenticate and deploy. And FTP itself you don't need, for example, you can change this to disable. So this kind of a configuration things you can do under configuration window. Okay. Next one is authentication window. So authentication in the sense you might have seen that when you're adding when you're trying to access any applications in the internet, have you ever noticed that to log into the application it does ask you log in via Google log in via Facebook, log in via Twitter. Have you ever identified that? Instead of creating an user account to the application, it will say that, okay, if you're already having Google account, use that Gmail account to log in. If you're already having a Facebook, use a Facebook to log in. Have you ever seen that?
Yes, we usually see.
Yeah, correct. So that setting, if you want to configure for this app service, for example, you can add those identity providers here, right? For that, you need to work along with these vendors. Like you could see, these are all the available one, like Microsoft, Apple, Facebook, GitHub, Google, Twitter, and OpenID. So these are all different kinds of authentication mechanisms where we could pick these vendors. Let's say we are creating a Apple account or Facebook you want to log in. We need to work with this identity provider, right? We need to create one app registration. We'll show you how to create Node AD. And then you need to work with the Facebook vendor and then integrate it. So that what will happen, you can log into your application. The authentication will happen through the Facebook also. That is also possible, right? Adding an identity provider also is pretty much straightforward option here. You can directly be selected. This is the application insights. As I mentioned, it's a monitoring solution. So I was turning on this. Earlier it is not turned on. We created one, right? No problem. It will provision automatically. And we will leave it for a while to fetch the data for your monitoring or how many requests your application has received. Is there any error? Again, this tool will be used for your developer to identify where the problem is, what's the errors, how to minimize the errors, and all of this stuff. Okay. Next one is we have an identity. So when I say the identity, we have two kinds of an identity. Okay, system assigned. One other one is user assigned. So system assigned, it means what it first of all, what is mean by identity is. So now you and me has an identity. That's why I have logged in. Let's say saderu@gmail.com. I have logged into that. I'm having a owner privilege, so I'm performing these operations, right? Similarly, if you want to provide an identity for your application, that is your app service, right? We can create that identity. We'll have two types. One is system assigned. It means that identity will create against this app service, right? Whenever this app service will get deleted, this identity also will get deleted. We have one more option called user assigned identity. So this will be used on a this identity. You can add that identity to the app service. You can add that identity to a different service, right? Wherever we need, we can add. It is not bound to a kind of a service. System assigned is per resource. User assigned is common identity, which can be added to the multiple services. Am I clear? Next one is backup. When I say the backup, it will allow you to take a backup of your backup is not configured here. If you are enabling the backup, right? So if you schedule the backup, if you could enable, and then it will ask like how frequently you want to take a backup. So every day or like daily basis you have a backup, hourly basis also you have a backup. So on certain daily basis, schedule when you want to inject a backup. Retention is nothing but how many days you want to maintain the backup data, right? If you want to restore, go back to the previous state. We have dedicated session on a backup. So by the time you have better understanding about these policies, right? You can do this backup configuration under backup so that whenever something went bad, you can, if you want to revert back to the previous state, you can do that. Okay, this is all about backup. In tomorrow's session onwards, we'll talk about how you can change the domain let's say by default your website name is websites.net, right? If at all you want to change it to the airindia.com, how exactly you can change that, right? How, what are all the SSL settings, certificate configurations, networking details, scale up, scale out, right? What is mean by them or what is mean by auto scaling. So all those concepts we'll talk in tomorrow's session. Any questions, guys, with today's session? Chiranjeevi, Siva, Harsha, Venkat, able to follow?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. So Venkat, could you create one free trial for tomorrow's session?
Yeah.
Okay, just make sure your whatever the card you are using is have an international transaction enabled. You can check it with the customer care. They could enable it immediately. It will deduct two rupees in INR, Venkat. That 2 rupees also will credit it back. Okay. And you should have a PAN card and mobile number. These are the prerequisite. One account.
So do I need to create with a new mail ID or it's the same mail ID?
Same email ID, whatever your login to the portal, right? That
Okay.
email ID can be used. That password. Not a Gmail password, the password you are using to log into the portal.azure.com today. Have you logged in, right? At least once to the portal, Venkat?
Yeah. Yeah.
You have done your practice also. So then that credentials is fine. Email
Okay.
account, one credit card and PAN card
Okay.
and the mobile number. Okay. Okay. Thank you guys. Thanks for joining. Once done, let me know, Venkat, so that we'll log in before the session and then we'll have the class at same time by tomorrow.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you guys for joining. Have a good day. See you tomorrow.